Brooke Bailey is mourning the loss of her 25-year-old daughter, Kayla. The Basketball Wives star captions a September 25th Instagram carousel, "Forever my baby, pretty black, aka Kayla Nicole Bailey. This is not a goodbye. Mommy will see you soon."
All that was left was a mother's worst nightmare after the cameras were turned off and the glamour was gone. Basketball Wives star Brooke Bailey always gave the impression that she had everything under control, but nothing could have prepared her for what transpired at 4:00 a.m. on September 25, 2022, after her only daughter, Kayla Nicole Bailey, 25, was hurt in an automobile accident. Brooke's entire world fell apart. The intelligent, driven young lady with a bright future vanished in an instant.
Her Instagram bio reads, Kayla Nicole Bailey, March 2nd, 1997 to September 25th, 2022.
Fans, friends, and celebrities like Nicki Minaj shared their sorrow on social media, which was inundated with tributes. Kayla is pretty black, Brooke wrote in her own message, adding that this is not a goodbye. Mommy will see you soon. But there was a sense of unease beneath the melancholy. Details that weren't consistent with a typical accident were reported by witnesses at the crash scene. What Kayla said in that last conversation rocked everything, and investigators discovered a phone call made minutes before the crash.
"My baby girl is so loved by all of you. The love and support my family has received today is unreal and so appreciated."
Not to 911 but to Brooke. However, what actually transpired that evening and what secret was Kayla so keen to discover? Let's talk about it. It was 4:00 a.m. on September 25, 2022. The quiet hour when everyone is asleep and the world is at a standstill. But for Brooke Bailey, everything was about to change when her daughter, 25-year-old Kayla Nicole Bailey, died in a car accident that shocked not only her family, but the reality TV industry as a whole. The news quickly spread. At one point in time, Kayla was a model, an entrepreneur, and an ambitious daughter. The moment she passed away, condolences from celebrities, friends recalling her energy, fans sharing their shock, and tributes poured in on social media. "Forever my baby, pretty black, aka Nicole Bailey. This is not a goodbye. Mommy will see you soon," Brooke wrote in a heartbreaking Instagram post. It was more than just a message, it was the unadulterated, unveiled grief of a mother. According to those who knew her, Kayla was a force that took over a room when she entered it. Even people who only followed her on social media sensed her influence because she exuded ambition, confidence, and a willingness to pursue her goals. Evelyn, Lazada, and Shawnee O'Neal, two Basketball Wives stars, posted their support for Brooke, and Nicki Minaj herself wrote, "Pretty girl, I love you, Brooke." For a brief while, it seemed as though everything had stopped. But then things became strange as the questions and tributes kept coming in. Everyone was uncomfortable with the crash from the beginning. Witnesses who saw the wreckage said it didn't appear to be your usual accident. No indications of a car swerving or losing control were present. Rather, some claimed that it appeared deliberate, which was reason enough to draw attention. The forensic report, however, followed. The details weren't adding up, so investigators looked into them. Although the crash happened quickly, more than just what transpired during the crash was noteworthy. It was the immediate preceding event, and only a few minutes prior to the impact, Kayla called one person, her mother, rather than a friend or emergency services. And her words changed everything. Kayla was obviously upset because her voice was shaking, according to people familiar with the investigation. "Why are you hiding everything?" she said. "I quit because I can no longer handle the pressure." The response from Brooke was just 4 chilling words: "I accept all." Kayla never heard the answer to that last call, which was more than just a farewell. It was a cry for the truth. You must comprehend Kayla's life in order to comprehend that phone call. She was born on March 2, 1997, and grew up in a home that valued independence. Kayla recognized that drive early on, and Brooke put a lot of effort into providing. She had objectives and wasn't just another influencer. In Memphis, she owned and operated KNB Inc., a hair salon. She was well known in her community for her hustle. In addition to her beauty, she was also becoming more well known as a model. Kayla was making opportunities rather than waiting for them. Her relationship with her mother appeared strong to the general public. Although Brooke frequently shared her love and pride for Kayla on social media, their relationship was complex behind closed doors. They experienced their share of conflict, as do many mothers and daughters, but one problem persisted. Her father was an aspect of Kayla's life that she never completely comprehended. Every time Kayla asked Brooke about him, she didn't know him. There would be silence, no details, no answers, and the conversation would end. However, that silence was distressing. According to those close to Kayla, she was looking discreetly and only wanted the truth, not to stir up trouble. There was always one unanswered question. Where did she come from? And why had that aspect of her identity been concealed behind the smiles and success? It was more than just a car losing control on the night of the collision. It was also a conversation and a moment that would always be remembered by Brooke. Just a few minutes prior to the impact, Kayla had made a brief phone call to her mother, which was sufficient to raise some questions that still lack clear answers. Someone who heard the playback described her voice as shaky and hurt. She was explicit though. "Why are you hiding everything?" Kayla asked. "I resigned." Those were the words of someone who was emotionally spent and exhausted, not someone who was angry. She was discussing a truth she had been seeking for years, not just her career, her hardships, or the demands of being Brooke Bailey's daughter. She let it all out in that last moment because she felt misled and kept in the dark. In a haunting response, Brooke stated, "I accept all," just those 4 words. No explanation, no follow-up. Brooke appeared to have given up, but to what? The fear of finally telling her daughter the truth, the years of silence, or the burden of guilt? Was this the tipping point for a daughter, or something much more sinister? Everything changed when the crash investigation began to delve deeper. The police had suspicions right away. There seemed to be more to the story based on the call, the emotional background, and the manner the car was discovered. When Brooke was finally taken in for interrogation, she finally broke down for the first time. She revealed to investigators Kayla's biological father, whom she had concealed for more than 20 years. She didn't want him involved in her daughter's life. Brooke claimed that he was a Nigerian man with a criminal past that extended beyond minor infractions, the type of activity that attracted federal interest. According to Brooke, she met him when she was a careless young woman and became entangled in a way of life that she later rejected. She decided to sever all connections after learning that she was expecting Kayla. She believed that keeping it a secret from Kayla was the right thing to do. She believed she was shielding her daughter from a dangerous man and a troubled past, but concealing the truth only made the situation worse. Kayla became increasingly inquisitive over time. She had questions that Brooke would not answer, and the longer they ignored them, the more distance grew between them. Brooke acknowledged that their relationship was strained at the time of the collision. Brooke was aware that Kayla's silence had created the wall that made her feel as though she had been living in someone else's version of reality. That crash didn't happen on any day. Kayla was meant to start over on September 25, 2022. She intended to introduce her own brand, name, beauty line, and legacy. More than just a company, KMBB represented everything she had fought for and her means of escaping her mother's shadow. Her plans for that launch were ambitious. There were rumors that she hoped her father would notice her success and come, or at least give her some sort of acknowledgement, even if it was only a phone call or a message. But all she received was silence. And something inside of her was broken by that silence. She still hadn't found the answer she was looking for after years of searching. And that last phone call, her way of saying, "I'm done begging for clarity," was her breaking point. What started out as a celebration devolved into tragedy and perhaps a parting message. Social media was inundated with Basketball Wives fans and followers as soon as word spread about Nicole Bailey's past. Fans started to wonder about the specifics. One commented, "Something ain't right. You don't just crash like that after calling your mom in tears." Another responded, "This doesn't feel like an accident. Why would she call her mom instead of 911 if it was just a crash?" People questioned why investigators were treating it like something more when it was only a car accident. Conspiracy theories followed. According to one theory, Kayla might have found something she wasn't supposed to, while another suggested the crash might have been staged. Although there was never any proof to support it, there were even rumors that her car had been followed in the hours prior to the collision. Brooke Bailey, meanwhile, eventually spoke up. She acknowledged in an emotional video that was shared weeks after the crash that hiding the truth from Kayla was motivated by fear as much as safety. Fear of being judged and the potential damage that truth could do to their relationship. However, she ultimately stated that her greatest error to date was remaining silent. According to Brooke, she never thought that failing to respond to her daughter's inquiries could have such a significant impact. She believed she was acting appropriately, but Kayla only desired honesty and not perfection. The fact that Kayla passed away while still feeling as though something was missing, wondering who she truly was, and asking questions that Brooke could have answered but chose not to, is what haunts him the most, not the crash itself. It's the type of guilt that endures despite passing time, therapy, and even public sympathy. What else isn't being said is perhaps the most difficult question of all. Behind the scenes, the investigation is still ongoing. The grieving process continues, even though the case may eventually come to an end. Was Kayla's story merely tragic, or did it serve as a warning about what happens when silence becomes too burdensome? Please share your thoughts in the comments section.